What's up, lovely people? Hope you all are doing great. Today's video is a special one for me because I built two things here which are really interesting. One being the car, which is a 7th scale Skyline R34. It's a nitro based on the OFNA DM1 spec, but also a beautiful dyno, which is not specific to this car. This is adjustable from a 12th scale all the way up to a 5th scale, so a large scale like that. This car is really something, it turned out to be something really special. I'm going to get into the details talking about it. It's just sometimes, I make videos where I don't want to talk too much and then people complain and they're like, why didn't you tell us more about how you did it? What did you do? Same thing with regards to the dyno. And sometimes when I make a video and I talk too much about something, I get a lot of complaints being like, oh man, I wish, we watched the video without you talking too much. So I guess I can't please everybody. So there's always going to be someone that's happy, someone that complains. So I'll do my best to kind of have a fine balance where I show you a lot of, this car, but as well as describing how we came about with all this going on here. So firstly, let's talk about the car and then we'll go into the dyno. The car is a OFNA DM1 spec. Like I said, it's a nitro. It's got a beautiful Skyline Nismo R34 body shell. This is really unique because not just for the fact that it actually has nitrous injection on here, which is operated via the transmitter from this red button here. So yeah, that accesses the nitrous. And it's also a 2-speed gearbox. It's got a beautiful quad exhaust on the back. I have the car positioned the other way as it should be. So the fan should be to the front of the vehicle and it is also vented. So these vents, this hood scoop, this is not for show. This is an actual hood scoop. So it lets in air. As you can see, there's mesh here, but also where the radiator is. Now this is a for show, let's say, radiator, but the gap here is open to let air in. Also, the window helps here with cooling. However, I don't really need too much cooling here because the nitrous actually needs heat to keep the pressure in it. So it's fine to just have, these cutouts plus this window cutout. So I think this car looks absolutely magnificent, with the little details and all that. But I'm going to flip it around right now to put it in the correct orientation, the way it should sit on the dyno. All right, so here it is sitting in the proper orientation, the way it should sit on the dyno. That fan over there has 3 settings. I usually keep it to the 3rd setting, which is the coolest, because you can't get, enough cooling. And yeah, just looking at this car, I think it looks absolutely magnificent. I love these exhaust tips on the back. They look glorious, not just when it's, standing or idling, but when you actually punch it, and it shifts the gears and you see the gas coming out from the back. It's just absolutely beautiful, really. Looks great. And yeah, let's take the cover off it. Actually, before I take the cover off it, little details that I had to add to the body are these mirrors, which actually are reflective. They're not just like stickers. The tow hooks on the back, just little minor modifications like the bolts on here. The more realism, the better for me. Let's put this here. All right, now, looking underneath at the chassis, it's really a beautiful build. All-wheel drive, 2-speed, 0.28 Mach start engine, nitrous injection, 8 gram, high-speed servos, high-torque servos, just great. These are the Arma the Boots tires. They work great. They're lightweight. They match the same weight as the OEM OFNA wheels and tires. I did have to get some spacers for the hex hubs, but other than that, all the fitment seemed pretty decent. The wheelbase is very, very good for these style of bodies. Yeah, and I love the pushrod suspension on this kit. Nothing crazy, but very, very rare because they don't make these anymore at all. And yeah, you can have the scale as electric, of course. You can go with a Felony or a Limitless. I have a Limitless that can do 140 miles an hour, but this doesn't do that, definitely. But it's still pretty fast. And honestly, yes, the electric is much faster, but I always tend to lean to the nitro. Say what you want, say it's more headache, more tuning, more that. I don't really buy that. I feel like once you tune a nitro, if you know what you're doing with nitros, you probably are going to have a bit more fun than the electric. The electric to me sometimes can, you know, not be boring. I don't want to say boring because I love all RC cars, but these are just, you know, engineering marvels. All right, so we talked a little bit about the car and everything, but with regards to the dyno, so this dyno, I basically built, you know, from scratch, from our scrap parts that I have here. And it is really cool because it gives you all the details that you want. First of all, it is a alternating. It's either a four-wheel drive dyno, which this car is, but it also can be a rear-wheel drive dyno. So this gives you telemetry and the front gives you telemetry as well. The telemetry that I get, actually being a free spinning dyno, for now it's just the speed, the RPM, the distance traveled, the battery voltage, and you get two different types of RPMs. You get the engine RPM, which is the car wheel actual RPM. You get the engine RPM, and you get the actual spinners right here, which are the basically I call them rolling pins because they look like rolling pins. I know they're not that, but yeah, anyways. So these, it gives me the RPM to how fast these are rotating. Over here also we have the voltage and the percentage of the battery, and you know how much current and how much amps you're using, things like that. So it gives you live over here what's going on with the car. This is basically the same thing that's on the car, but when you have the body on and it's, you know, strapped down and you're punching it and watching the car, you know, shift gears and all that, it's hard to tell from within the car. So you just look here and it gives you all that information. It does have a flywheel. Again, this is a free spinning dyno, so it's not a dyno with an actual flywheel and a software, but I do have the flywheel. I just don't know, being a Mac person, I don't really use PC that much. I'm quite limited with regards to the software there. This dyno is awesome because I literally set it on a table that's from Walmart. You know, those foldable tables? That's exactly what I decided to use as the base. This is just basically a box that I cut out to put all the you know, screens in. You have a switch that's on off, so you can turn it on or off. You also have an auxiliary port here for another, you know, JST connector or whatever for the receiver or transmitter. What else did I do here? Yeah, so this is also just modified GoPro brackets that I used, and these rails that I used with the adjustable sliders on there are from a 3D printer. So I don't have a 3D printer, again, because I don't need one. When I want to manufacture parts, I just send the dimensions and I give sometimes a drawing and a sketch with the dimensions that I want. And good people who know how to use a 3D printer way more than me actually input the data and give me these custom parts. So there's no need for me to have a 3D printer, but its parts come in really handy. So we ended up with a dyno. These are also adjustable clamps. So this front splitter here, I usually attach here. Same thing with the other one. So they don't move. It stabilizes it. This I use to attach to the A-arms on the car and make sure they're snug, not too tight because you don't really need it. With all fours being, you know, tightened down, this car isn't really going anywhere. So yeah, that's that. That's all I can think of for what this is. FYI, this stuff that you see here, I know I made it look like it's pure carbon fiber, and I wish I could say it's all carbon, but it's not all carbon. This is like a polycarbonate material underneath here. It's actually quite, you know, ugly. So I decided to use a beautiful carbon fiber wrap to make it look like carbon fiber. Doesn't mean that not everything, doesn't mean that all of it is fake carbon, because I use a lot of real carbon in my builds, but just not at the dyno. So yeah. Also, I had to make a bunch of these center pieces in different sizes to fit the different scales. But yeah, I'm going to put the body on now and just, you know, start the car and show you how it drives on the dyno, and then we go off the dyno. tell me that's not awesome. I just smile every time I see this thing, you know, the size of it on a dyno in the garage between the cars and everything, the exhaust spitting like crazy, the 2-speed shifting. It's just absolutely brilliant. One thing did kind of happen, which is unusual, but I did modify the NOS valves. I kind of pushed it with the boost. There's a lot of boost going on here. A lot more boost than this 0.28 engine should handle. I think the valve here is more for like a 5th scale RC car. But, you know, hey, I wanted to push the limits, and I kind of did. Thankfully, nothing major happened, but you know that saying, blew the welds off the intake? Well, we didn't blow the welds off the intake, but technically the silicone and the gaskets would be the welds on this particular machine. So we blew those, but it's not a big deal. It's just a quick fix. Don't worry, I'm not going to let that impede the video. This will be part 1 for this machine until, anyways, it looks like it's going to rain outside. So I'm just gonna get it back together, make sure everything is good to go, because part 2 of this video will be the checking the nitrous on the street and seeing how the 2-speed shifts. I'm probably gonna only push the NOS button on 2nd gear, because 1st gear would be pointless. It'll just do wheel spin. It really does put a lot more power. I can't measure it in terms of percentage right now. I can only measure it in terms of RPM and speed, but I want to estimate so far it's been around 40% to 50% increase in power and performance. So it's insane. And I'd go further to say, if this dyno had proper horsepower figures, I think it'll be double or triple even. So it'll be 100% increase, or maybe even more than 100% increase. But that's, again, pushing it with this amount of boost with this engine. I even looked at the spark plug. As you can see, it's not there now. I looked at the plug. It was completely burnt, you know. It wasn't lean. It's not running lean, but the NOS is pretty aggressive on this machine. But yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. I hope you guys like this, because I'm absolutely in love with it. And yeah, it just looks really cool. The dyno, one thing did happen today, which again is kind of unusual. I've been running this thing consistently, basically I think almost once every 2 days for the past month, and no issues. But I think that's why I finally found something, you know, today. The magnet that should activate the RPM sensors, because of the power of the car, it spun and flew off. It literally flew like a bullet in the garage. Luckily it didn't hit anything. I just picked it up over there. But yeah, I really want to take this thing out on the road, you know, have it seen by some people, because I think it just looks and drives amazing. It really is something, especially with all those details on it and the exposed NOS, the nitrous bottle, and also not just the fact that you can see the nitrous bottle, but the hose actually expands a little bit when the nitrous engages, so you can tell when I activate the nitrous just by looking at it. Granted, it's a lot easier to see when the body is off, but still, if you pay attention, obviously you're not going to see it while I'm moving fast with the car, but when it stands still and I activate the NOS, you can see the hose expand and make the noise and everything, and it's just really, really cool. So anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Again, this is just part 1. When the weather gets a bit better and I sort out the issue with, I just need to put a new gasket and a new spark plug or glow plug or whatever it is. So yeah, when that's done, we'll do the on-road test, which I've done before off camera, and I absolutely love this thing. It really looks and drives amazing. That's why I want to try and film it to get it on camera for you guys. So yeah, anyways, that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.